So in January, I go to this job interview at this hotel chain. And the guy tells me I know more about the hotel chain than he does. And he's been working there 10 years. He tells me all these things. He's like, oh yeah, you can do this job that requires a degree, and all these jobs that I'm not qualified for. And then I get an email, and he refuses to hire me for this entry-level job. But he's like, oh yeah, someday we'll be working together in hotels. And so that really confused me, because how did that happen? But basically I learned maybe I just need to be more confident and just dream big. But then the second thing that happened, number 2, I did get a job. I got a job at Panera Bread, washing dishes. Then 3, I go to Chicago, and I go on this interview for this internship thing, and I tell them how horrible I am and everything I can't do and everything that's wrong with me, and so they don't give me it. They reject me. But on the bus ride home, I meet this guy, and I never met him before in my life. We're strangers, but we talked for 4 hours, and it totally hit, he's totally hitting on me, and I don't even realize that until the end. He asks me oh, are you single, a bajillion times, and falls asleep on my shoulder, and it was really weird. 4, I took a computer science class for 1 week. Then I dropped that class because I realized that's not what I was passionate about. 5, February 29th, and all the events leading up to it. So I'm at work one day, and this poem comes to my mind about this girl I stalked on Facebook. It was called The Opposite of Giving Up. Maybe some of you have heard that. And so I randomly decided I'm going to go to the Coffee Bean and perform that. I didn't know anybody. I hadn't been here in 10 months. I performed that. And then on the way out, I ran into an old friend, Catherine. Shout out to you, Catherine, because she stayed up till 2 a.m. talking, and I just really needed that. 6, so 1 week later, I talked to an old high school teacher who told me, why are you always trying so hard to be different? And I talked to an old friend on the phone, and then that night, for the first time ever, I performed a little poem called Comfort Zone. And let me tell you, that poem changed my life. Because so many people have told me how much that poem has inspired them. And it inspires me to step out of my comfort zone. 7, I spent a week home alone, including Easter. I didn't really do much, but it just is interesting spending a whole week alone with no parents and no one else around. 8, I went to a video convention in California. I played a game of kickball with all my internet friends who apparently all knew me. I was the most popular person there, which was so bizarre. I met this guy who was a motivational speaker, and I didn't know him. And I said, hey, I want to do what you do. And he said, you can start by having more self-confidence. And he knew me for 30 seconds, which was crazy. And he was not the first person to tell me that. This year, so many people told me I need to be more confident. 9, I went to an advertising convention in Chicago, and that week, I was the calmest I'd ever been in my life. So calm. And I was so put together. And everyone there thought I worked in advertising. But they didn't know. They didn't know that I wash dishes for a living, because I learned about perception. I learned about how if you put yourself out there as one thing, people will believe you. 10, I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with my family to visit my brother who's in the Navy, and we had a great time. Always a good time spending time with families. 11, I took a spontaneous trip to Minneapolis, where I went to this convention and I performed a freestyle rap in front of over 250 people. I met so many great poets, and it was one of the craziest experiences of my life. I don't know, I didn't know anybody, and that night I went to dinner with 30 people. I'm like, what the heck? I'm going out to dinner with 30 strangers, and then we were playing board games and goofing around until 3 a.m. Crazy. 12, my brother graduated from nuclear school in the Navy, and I was really proud of his accomplishments. Sometimes it's really great to see other people really doing stuff with their life. 13, my brother came home from the Navy on leave, and we went out at Walmart at 11 a.m. and crazy adventures. All right, I'm almost done, okay? 14, I thought more about relationships than I ever had in my whole life. I never really had a boyfriend or really thought about it, but I don't know, I found out some people liked me, and after that guy on the bus earlier, it just crazy. All right, 15, I learned what it's like to perform on stage, and I found my passion for poetry. And I figured out how words have an impact, because they say actions speak louder than words, but I think that's not true. I think sometimes you need words to propel the actions. And the words that people have said to me, the words I have said to other people have just blew my mind. And it's crazy how I found myself, my passion for poetry, by washing dishes. 16, on the last day of 2015, I had no job, no school, no money, no friends, no dream. And At the end of 2016, at first I thought I failed. But I realized I succeeded because I really changed. I came a long way. I now have a job, I have friends, I have money, I have this passion for poetry. And it's crazy how much can change in a year just by surrounding yourself by the right people, following your dreams and ambitions, and being confident. So thank you to everyone out there who's believed in me, believed in my poetry this year, because let me tell you, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. So this is a poem, I have a poem, and it's called Walking Labelless, and it's inspired by the events I just talked about, and it's for anyone out there with a dream, okay? This one is for you. All right, you can turn off the